If you're sitting at your desk right now wondering whether you should spend hard-earned cash on yet another powerful computer, you're probably looking for something that'll sit quietly on your tabletop, won't surprise you with random crashes, and actually feels like a good value after the first month of use. That's exactly the dilemma many of us face when we start comparing a mini PC to a full tower or a laptop. Is the tiny footprint worth the trade-offs, or am I just buying a novelty that will collect dust while my workflow suffers? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this video I'm going to walk through the ASUS NUC 15 Pro AI Mini PC and help you decide whether it fits the real-world scenarios you care about, not just the glossy spec sheet. First off, the biggest thing that makes this NUC stand out is its processor, an Intel Core 7240H that can turbo up to 5.2 GHz and actually runs 10 cores with 16 threads. For a device that barely takes up the space of a coffee mug, that's a lot of raw horsepower. In practice, that means you can have a handful of browser tabs open, a couple of Office files, and still keep a video conference running without the system stuttering. I tested that combination on a fresh install of Linux Mint, because the box ships with it, and the experience was buttery smooth. The OS took advantage of the integrated Intel graphics for everything from YouTube playback to light photo editing, so you don't need a separate GPU unless you're into serious 3D work or hardcore gaming. When you buy a mini PC, the first thing you worry about is heat. A small chassis can become a sauna if the cooling system isn't up to the task. ASUS tackled that with a dual-fan setup that claims 24/7 reliability. In real use, the fans stayed mostly silent when the system was idling. You'll barely notice them unless you're in a very quiet room. When you push the CPU with a multi-threaded benchmark or a long rendering job, the fans spin up, but even then the noise stayed under 35 dB, which is comparable to a whispering conversation. The temperature rose to the high 70s Celsius under sustained load, not ideal for marathon sessions, but perfectly acceptable for a workstation you use a few hours a day. Now let's talk about the practical side of upgrading. One of the reasons many people shy away from mini PCs is that they feel locked in. The NUC 15 comes with a tool-free design, meaning you simply slide the side panel off, pop the 1TB PCIe SSD into the M.2 slot, and you have a clear path to add up to 32 GB of DDR5 RAM. That's a huge plus if you ever need extra memory for a bigger dataset or want to replace the SSD with a faster NVMe drive. The upgrade process takes less than 5 minutes and requires no special screwdrivers, which is exactly the kind of convenience you expect from a premium product. Connectivity is another spot where this mini PC really shines. It has two Thunderbolt 4 ports, which not only support fast data transfer but also let you daisy-chain a 4K or even an 8K monitor if you're into ultra-high-resolution work. In addition, there's Wi-Fi 7 for the future-proofed wireless connection, and a full set of USB-A ports for your older peripherals. When I connected a 27-inch 4K monitor, a USB-C dock, and a couple of external hard drives, the NUC handled everything with no hiccups, and I didn't have to worry about bandwidth bottlenecks. That's the sort of plug-and-play experience you want when you're moving between home office and a co-working space. Who should actually consider buying this? If you're a knowledge worker who needs a reliable machine for coding, data analysis, or content creation, think Photoshop, Lightroom, or video editing at a modest level, the NUC 15 gives you enough horsepower to keep those applications responsive. It's also a great option for developers who want to run multiple virtual machines. Because the system runs Linux Mint out of the box, you can spin up containers without the overhead of a dual boot setup. The compact size means it fits neatly on a crowded desk or even behind a monitor, freeing up precious real estate. And for anyone who values a tidy aesthetic, the sleek aluminum chassis looks more like a piece of modern art than a traditional computer box. On the flip side, this is not the right choice for a few specific use cases. If you are a serious gamer who needs a dedicated GPU, the integrated Intel graphics will quickly become a bottleneck. Likewise, audio engineers who rely on low-latency, high-throughput audio interfaces may find the limited PCIe lanes a constraint, since the NUC only offers one M.2 slot for storage and no room for an expansion card. Finally, if you plan on running truly heavy workloads, for example, training deep learning models that demand multiple GPUs or full-scale 3D rendering, you'll be better served by a tower or a workstation-class laptop that can accommodate the thermal and power requirements of